I mean, you say family atmosphere. My brain says quality of life, because like at a certain point after 13 years of knowing somebody, you kind of take it for granted that you are family. You don't even really talk about your family. We're new here, and we're trying to get them to understand like they're now our family. With him, like it's just we know exactly what each other's thinking. We don't have to. If he wants to run something new, I'm not going to sit there and have to dissect 30 different variables. Whereas if somebody has never worked with him, they want to do that. Whereas he knows what hurts us. He knows what doesn't hurt us. He knows exactly, like he's in tune with what we're doing on the O-line. So it's easy transition for me to, if I bring him a play or he brings me a play, it doesn't matter what it is. We're on the same page and we're done within about, 30 seconds of talking. Whereas I've been on other staffs, you can deliberate for almost up to 2 hours over one play. So that would be more of the like quality of life of just knowing who you're working with and how easy it is to work with them. That'd be the
You ever want to tell them, let's stop building and just revel in what we've built?
That'd be a terrible idea. we're literally there's that at like every moment, like we're looking for whatever we can do to like advance. You know what I mean? Keep moving forward. You mentioned WKU, like we made it to the championship, didn't win the championship. So there's always something that we're gonna keep pushing for.
From an O-line perspective, in this offense, very often the ball's going to come out quick, which is good for the offensive line.
Yeah.
But by the same token, you got to be able to move people off the line of scrimmage.
Yes. So so everybody's going to say like, the stats are kind of skewed because the ball comes out quick. There's plenty, I can sit there and tell you there's plenty of times where we are going to have to hold on and make sure that this ball is going to take a little bit. So there's also like, it'd be great if I could just literally be like, guys, this ball's going to be out quick the entire time. The difference is the quarterback has so many options. That's why you'll see the ball usually come out quicker than usual. And the biggest thing is we have to establish a run game, because otherwise they'll just drop 8. And that's where we are not really the true air raid. And so there's such a run game like infused in it and the different formations that we can do. And then that's where a defense coordinator has to like actually understand like what's the personnel, what are they in? Because if we're going to go 2-back power and then all of a sudden we're in 2x2, they're going to be prepared for that. So that's one of those things where every DC knows that and going into the game, and then the run game has to be hitting on all cylinders. Otherwise, they're just going to try to pick us apart in the pass game.
And if it's 3rd and 1, you want to be able to pick that
100%.
Yard up without throwing.
100%. There's no question that with 3rd and 1, we better be able to smash that thing downhill, breathe, and then go on to the next play.
There's been a good continuity from the spring till now, but you think those 5, but developing capable backups, how important is that?
Huge. I mean, that's everything. I mean, that's it. Because the majority, I'd say 99% of teams do not make it all the way through with their 5. I mean, that's just kind of a stigma in the O-line. Everybody knows that. Something happens, something gets nicked up, it doesn't matter. The development piece is the biggest piece, because we're still developing in the first 5. There's still so much. This is so new to them that the pieces there's something they're learning every single day. We haven't mastered anything in my head. Like we still have to continue to grow and make sure we understand like this is when we go. There's no we're going to take a play. You're going to clap, look towards the sideline, and slow this thing down. Like we're going at the pace that we're going at all times.
I want to ask you specifically about Jacavian, who's playing left tackle. Now he spent last year as a backup tight end at 280 pounds.
Yes.
Now he's well over 300. He's got the characteristics. If you drew one up in a lab, it would probably be that body.
Yeah.
But technique-wise, is he still in that mode of developing and learning?
He's still learning something every single day. And then the biggest, during spring, the biggest development that he had was he has to play with that weight. He had never been at that size. So then it turns into now we're developing the technique and seeing the whole picture of the defense and what's going on and making sure things are moving fast, because the majority of the time he was just playing tight end. And so now that he's actually out there at tackle, having to make adjustments on the fly, there's some stuff that you're like, I coach him, and other people aren't getting that. They're not that long, of a human. And then there's things where I'm sitting there in bare bones basis where I'm like, we got to lock this in. This has to be a rule for you, and just stick to it. So it's been an awesome process. He's been all in. He's bought in. It's been amazing to watch him grow physically, bigger, and then just mentally with just the capabilities of, down to, you saw him on that screen the other day, that it took him, he whiffed 4 times and then dismantled a guy and finally tasted blood, and now he knows how to run that screen. So it's been awesome to watch what he's doing.
Last one for me is, we're talking to Scarlett Jean and Cunningham today. Those two guys are on the opposite end of the spectrum on their career. One has played a lot of games, one is looking for his first game. Can you tell us a little bit about those two?
Yeah, so Scarlett actually, we were able to be able to get him back. We got an extra year out of him for the NAIA. So it was awesome to see him come back, and then he is honestly a voice of reason on the line. He's played a ton of ball. He like understands what I'm saying. I don't have to, like the majority of things that I do in the room, it's more of a show and tell, and then he's one of the ones where I can kind of we can play a little imaginary game and he can see it in his head. Same thing with like Alex, they just played a lot of ball. Scarlett's done a phenomenal job and just keeping, honestly, Braden's same too. So they're he's got two very old heads on either side of him. So the difference is like, however you want to call it, it's an interpretation of how people see it. But if Braden wants to call a call that's not the right call, we're going to ride with that call, but they're quickly to rebuke him while they're jogging down the field on the next ball. So that's been funny to see. But Braden's been coming along phenomenally. He's light years ahead of kids his age, just from technique standpoint, and now it's just he's got to get stronger too while he's doing this process. But he's been phenomenal this entire fall camp.
And what have you seen in the offensive lineman room overall during camp? Not more so just for a group, but individually, and for those competitions you're having for the starting roles, the two roles. Is it a competition that's kind of making people stand out on their own, or bringing the room together?
It's a combination. If you have an unhealthy room, that will break them apart. If that makes sense. There's some that are pretty solidified of starters of who they are, but at the same time, there's no concept of like, hey, you're the starter no matter what. That's not going to ever happen. Like under like the way that we work, it's you have an expectation, you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then we're going to try somebody else. But at the same time, they've maintained a level of very like the maturity aspect has been. We've gone up, down, up, down, up, down, and we're finally leveling out into like they're starting to get a groove of what our offense actually is and how to interpret it, and then now they're going to feel for Coach Kitley of how he's going to call it, and that's kind of the biggest thing of seeing how it goes. When it comes to depth is the biggest piece in everything, and everybody across the country is looking for depth. And so the biggest thing is, as much as I spend on the ones, I have to spend on the twos. I'm also the same person, like once again, you never know what happens. I'm also going to be very involved in what the scout team's doing, just for the pure fact of if one of those guys has to come up and be the backup role, I can't have them just completely lost. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm probably a little bit different. That's because kind of my playing days, it was, go to the scout team and no one talks to you the entire time. But I'm very infused with the ones, the twos, and then the scout team. Obviously, your ones are going to get a lot more attention to detail opposed to your twos, but it's the same way, quarterback QB1 versus QB2, and it's reps, and so that's how it goes.
And my last question I have for you is about the true freshmen that came in. Are any of them standing out to you, or overall, what are your thoughts on that?
They're all honestly rolling really well. Like we put them on the board yesterday. We had their first, we had some squiggly lines, a little nervous, and some were just knocking it out of the park. And so overall, I'm very impressed with them. I think Rain Bannock's doing a phenomenal job for coming for being from Canada. He's been away from his parents for 4 years. Like he's literally lived in Georgia. He came down here on an official visit. His parents literally moved him in and went right back. So he's been away from home for a long time. He's adjusted phenomenally to this. Logan's done a lot of great things at the center position. He's doing he's got the calls down. Now his is now high school strength. Now he's feeling what it is in college. You've got Landon Rapquicks. You have to learn how to say that. It's one of the most bizarre names you'll ever have. And I'm sure his mom will be frustrated that I said that, but you have to learn it's Rapquicks. It's not Rapowitz. And so he's done awesome too. And so he's a good guard body he's got pregame out here. I mean, he tried to punch a hole in my chest and fired me up. So he's got the intangibles. And Nick Turner's a huge, long body. He's got a ways to go, but at the same time, if we can get his intangibles, that's the size you're looking for. So I've been overly impressed with the freshman group that I got, because at the end of the day, I got hired in December. They were already committed and signed. So it was good to meet them and see them, and they're able to grow with me, and it's been fun.